All right, Shalom. First and foremost, we want to give all praises, honor, and glory due to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Yahweh Kakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, and peace and salutations to the hopeful elect out here toiling in this truth. I'm Bathaka Moth, Jim S. Dallas. I'm just coming back at you with a really quick hit lesson. And I'm going to entitle this one simply, E's hatred is showing towards Jake. E's hatred is showing towards Jake. And that hatred is a perpetual hatred, man. You know what I'm saying? You know, the Lord created it that way, you know, and there's nothing can be done about it. There's no such thing as coexistence with these people, man. You know what I'm saying? But you can't tell Jake that. Jake is hard-headed, stiff-necked, you know, uncircumcised, and just can't get right. You know, which reminds me of that movie, that scene in that movie, Life, with Eddie Murphy and Martin. And there was a character by the name of Can't Get Well. They called him Can't Get Right. Can't Get Right. You know, Bokeem Woodbine is the one that played him, the part of the character, and you know, that dude from Poetic Justice, and you know, that movie Devil, and he's been in several movies, but Bokeem Woodbine is his name, and he played the character Can't Get Right. Can't Get Right, and of course the cat that was over, you know, the Edomite dude that they called Boss, you know, the elderly so-called black man was trying to explain to him, you know, and he was telling him, yeah, boss, he just can't get right. And the Edomite dude was like, can't get right. Well, we see how long he lasts. So that reminds me of Jake, man. You know, can't get rights. There are a bunch of can't get rights. See, we're going to see how long they last. Like he said, you know, we're going to see how long they last. You know what I'm saying? But just you know, hey, bro, Jake is done, man. You can't tell Jake nothing. You know, they just want to believe what they want to believe. You know what I'm saying? But it is what it is, man. You know, at the end of the day, they're going to find out, man. You know what I'm saying? The Bible tells all these things. All these things are part of biblical prophecy. You know what I'm saying? Playing out in the earth, you know, but you can't tell Jake that. Jake ain't trying to hear that. They want to believe that the Lord is all loving and all accepting and everything is okay. It's going to be all right. You know, when it's not going to be all right. It's not going to be okay. You know what I'm saying? The Lord ain't, of course, these people, you know, the earth has been given into the hand of the wicked, Job 9:24, and Esau has put the spirit and vibration of pure, unadulterated, you know, wickedness and evils, you know, iniquity, sin, iniquity, just turned the world upside down, like the scriptures say. What's that in Isaiah, the 29th chapter, I believe, in verse 16? Your turning of things upside down shall be esteemed as the potter's clay. So everybody believes this is how it's supposed to be, which is not, man. You know what I'm saying? And and they've been taught the Most High is all love. They don't know the nature of the Lord. They don't know how the Lord gets down, how he moves. They don't know him, man. You know what I'm saying? They don't know his name. It just lies and deception, which they're going to come to find that out, because the scriptures say that in Revelation, the 12th chapter, and the devil and Satan that deceived the whole world. You know what I'm saying? They're going to find out that they were lied to. You know, Isaiah 60 and verse 2, this earth in darkness, these people in gross darkness. You know, that's ignorance, man. You know what I'm saying? You know, the darkness represents lies and deceptions, but ignorance as well, man, when it deals with these people, man. You know what I'm saying? Because of the lies and deceptions, you know. And that's why they don't believe the knowledge. And that's why Hosea 4:6 says what it says. My people are destroyed for the lack of knowledge. You know what I'm saying? So, and they're going to reject knowledge, and it's going to get them destroyed, man. You know what I'm saying? So it is what it is. But he has a perpetual hatred for Jake, man. And it's coming out in these times, man, which is Bible prophecy. You know what I'm saying? These things are written, you know, all the way back to the garden in the beginning, man, you know, from Genesis. That hatred has been there, man, because that's how the Lord set it up. You know, so let's just read a couple of these. I got a few excerpts, you know, and I want to read them. You know, we can go through them. Right here, it's Evan Kilgore, and it says, white people are getting fed up with violent black people in America, man. It says, we're tired of getting called racist for calling out their degenerate behavior as a culture. And technically, he's right, man. You know what I'm saying? The Jake are degenerates. The Lord calls them degenerates in Jeremiah, the 2nd chapter, man. You know what I'm saying? A degenerate plant, you know what I'm saying? So the Lord calls them degenerates. So it is what it is. But this is that just part of that perpetual hatred for Jake that goes all the way back to the beginning, man. You know, on into today. And we're gonna get some scriptures proving these things, man. You know what I'm saying? But it says the double standards and hypocrisy are infuriating. It said it's time to stop dancing around this issue. So, hey, man, they're fed up. Like he said, he's fed up with niggas. Nigga, and when I say nigga, I'm talking about all 12 tribes, niggas and spiggers. They're fed up, bro. You know what I'm saying? But actually, of course, the Southern Kingdom is going to get the bulk of because that's Judah. When he refers to black people, so-called blacks. Of course. Which is no thing. There is no such thing as blacks. There's no such thing as white people. You know what I'm saying? When you deal with people, there's two color schemes according to the Bible, red and brown. You know what I'm saying? And of course, there's one nation of people that's red. Everything else it has a form of melanation, a pigment, and they're all different shades of brown. Esau, they're the only ones that's red. Look at him. You can see him in that picture. Let me blow this up. Look at the words on the screen. Look at his name, the word of his name, and then look at his pigment, his skin. It's not the same, bro. You can see the pinkish, reddish looking tone in his skin. They're the red people. And then you got these idiots talking about Esau ain't the white man. Stop, man, stop. The so-called white man. He's not white. That's a social construct that came about in 1681, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. So, but look at the skin tone. It's clearly red, man. That's from no pigment and the blood showing forth through the translucent skin. That's what that is, man. You can clearly see that his name is white, but he doesn't look, his shade, his pigment, his skin tone is not the same color. Where it says white right below him, he's not that color. That word is white. That's white. But his skin tone is not. So there's no such thing as white people, just like there's no such thing as black people. But they have a perpetual hatred, which goes back to the beginning in the garden. So let's just keep going. Lucy Riles, she says, this is enough. The gaslighting days of white man bad and everything is white supremacy and racism is over. And then this dude Balora's sad truth. You know what I'm saying? So, Esau is fed up, man, and this is how they see you. I don't know which one of them put this up, but they drew this depiction, and this is how they see you, man. You know what I'm saying? You nigga women, man. You so-called black women. This is how they see you, bro. With a 40 in your hand. You know what I'm saying? It look like she got what is that? I can't tell what that is. Old English, something like that. And it says, "That's right." Of course they mocking the language. Unintelligible yelling. It's what they see. That loud, the black woman walking down the street, she's gonna be loud. You'll hear her from the block over, man, cackling and just a bunch of noise, man. Which technically, again, these people are right, man, because Jake is doing all these things. But hey, again, this is coming from that place of hatred that they have, man. It got you with the dark skin, wearing the blue contacts, the blue eyes, and the different colors in your hair, and them big ass rings, and them damn monsters on your eyes, them spider lashes with them vampire fangs on your fingers, man. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy, bro. This is a crazy look right here, man. But this is Jake. This is the so-called black woman. They are so far gone. It's crazy, but it's real. You know what I'm saying? But this is coming from that place of hatred. They did this to mock. You know what I'm saying? So just showing that hatred. Jeremy Koff. It says black crime being driven by socioeconomics is false. It says poor blacks commit crimes at least 3 times the rate of whites, and they're full of shit on that, man. These devils, man. It says wealthy blacks commit crime at 5 times the weight of whites. Wrong. That's false. This information is false. And it says blacks commit more crimes at all income levels. And they're full of shit on that, man. And I don't give a damn if he put a little graph down here, man. Stop, bro. Esau is the ultimate. Crimson, crime, red. They were the first crime family on the earth, going back to them boys years, man. Stop. Crime came from them. They invented that shit, and they're the best at it. So you can put up whatever graph you want, bro. All of that, you're the ultimate predator. All these things you want to put on Jake is him, man. You know what I'm saying? But they want to make it look like it's Jake. And when it's not, man, the most killings, welfare, all of that is them, man. They're at the top of the list with all this stuff, man. But it is what it is, man. Let's keep it going. It's just all of this is part of that hatred. This is what's this? Stu Peters, which again you can look at the skin tone, the white shirt, the red tie. He's closer to the color of the tie than the shirt, man. All these things are very evident. You know what I'm saying? There's no such thing as white. But Stu Peters, it says, if you're white, you carry the blood in your veins of men who conquered the world. Whites must rise up. So hey, bro, Esau is serious, man. You got Jake out here on some madness, on some BS and nonsense. And this is what the so-called white man, the so-called white people, this is their mentality, man. You know what I'm saying? Which they did conquer the world, man. Going back to Alexander the Greek, they did what they the Lord set them up to do, man. You know what I'm saying? Which goes back to the blessing in Genesis, the 27th chapter, bro. All these things, everything is Bible, man. You're not going to get around it. But let's keep going. It says, based blonde X or double X, based blonde double X. I've never heard of a wealthy black area of living, and Sam Parker came on and says, apparently there might be a couple. Laugh out loud. Sam Parker again, is there even one single affluent, clean, safe black neighborhood in America? None. I know of none. So they just want to talk shit on Jake and mock Jake. And, it is what it is, man. Anthony Cumia, which he's talking about this dude at the bottom of the screen. Anthony Cumia, it says, what a repugnant display of white guilt. Disgusting. And then the Daily Sneed. This is a human being thing. This person made a bad choice. Father of Austin Metcalf. So when it comes to Esau, it's always bad choices. They put that spin on it. You know what I'm saying? To make it not so serious. They always try to give them a pass. Which they hold themselves not guilty. Scriptures say all these things, man. You know what I'm saying? They're the nation that's doing this, man. And then you got these people that want to claim this is not Esau, man. Get the hell out of here, man. This is some dude named Sean. I'm trying to see this dude, but his name is Sean. And it says, I was today years old. I don't know what he meant by that. When I realized that we are living through a white genocide. Dude, come on, bro. Esau is, goddamn. This is, my eyes are open now. I love being white. White lives matter. Stop trying to erase my people. Which at the end of the day, you're going to be erased. Pursuant to Obadiah, 1:18. So, bro, you can say what you want. Genocide, for them to speak on genocide, man, is just beyond me, bro. But let's get into the scriptures, man, because all these things, it's all Bible. It's all prophecy playing out, man. Going all the way back to Genesis in the garden, man. So real quick, let's get it. This is Genesis chapter 3. And we're going to drop down to verse 15. It reads, and I will put enmity between thee and the woman, which is, at the time he was talking to the serpent, man. You know what I'm saying? Which the serpent is not a snake, man. It's a man. When you look up, just type in serpent in Google, and it's going to tell you it's a treacherous. As a matter of fact, let's do it. Let's get it. Let's do it. I didn't want to make this lesson too long because but let's do it. Serpent definition. And I'm going to let him say it.
Serpent.
Well, her say it. Serpent. So now when you go down to the dictionary, the first one says literally a large snake. That's not what the Bible is dealing with. The second definition is what the Bible is dealing with. Number 2, a sly or treacherous person, especially one who exploits a position of trust in order to betray it. And is that not what the serpent did with Eve in the garden? Yes, because that's what it's talking about. It's talking about that sly, treacherous person, the Esau, man, because he's the serpent that was back then. Man, that's why when you deal with as a matter of fact, we'll get it. When you deal with the whole thing of the Lord telling Adam and Eve in the garden that you can eat of this tree, you can eat of this tree, but you can't eat of this tree. He was talking about Esau. You can deal with them. Their philosophies. You can deal with them, but don't deal with this dude, man, because Esau is the wicked, man. You know what I'm saying? He created him the wicked. He's been the wicked from the very jump, the very start of things. You know what I'm saying? He's been the wicked. And which is the serpent, man. In that time, it was the Edomites, man, in the earth. So going back to Genesis the 3rd chapter, and we'll deal with this. Then I'm gonna finish this, and then this is Genesis the 3rd chapter, verse 15, and it reads, "I will put enmity between thee and the woman," between the serpent and the woman, which is two nations of people, the Edomites and the Israelites, man. And enmity. Let's see what this word enmity is talking about. Enmity right here. And let's drop down to the outline of biblical usage. And it's right there, enmity, hatred. He was going to put hatred between the Edomites and the Israelites all the way back from the beginning, which we're going to prove as we go through the lesson. It's going to prove that it's talking about the so-called whites, the Edomites, man, because you'll have Christians, that's his serpent, it's talking about a snake, and they're like, stop, bro. They're adamant about that crap, man. Genesis 3 and 15, "I will put enmity, hatred between thee and the woman," which is the serpent, Esau, nation of Edom, and the woman, Israel, the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. It says, "And between thy seed and her seed," so the children. It's going to be with the children as well. "It shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise his heel." We had to take that W. We're going to have to fall. You know what I'm saying? We're going to take that fall. But the point is that hatred goes all the way back to the very beginning. You know what I'm saying? Now, let's go to John, the 8th chapter. We're going to drop down to verse 44. And Yahushua is going to make a point here. This is John 8 and 44. And it reads, "Ye are of your father the devil." So he was referring to somebody as devil. And really here he was talking to those Israelites back then that were trying to be like those Romans at the time, man. You know what I'm saying? Which during that time, the Romans represented the so-called Edom, the so-called white man. Esau, the Edomites, man, they were in power. They're the Roman Empire, man. It was just Esau. It says, "Ye are of your father the devil," and he called them devils, "and the lust of your father ye will do. He was a murderer from the beginning," putting him in the beginning. Hello, the serpent. "And abode not in the truth, because there is no truth in him," because he's a liar. The scriptures say that. "When he speaketh a lie, he speaketh of his own, for he is a liar and the father of it." And the scriptures tell you that. When you read in Psalms, the 58th chapter, it says, as a matter of fact, let's get it real quick and we'll come back. Psalms 58. And verse 3, and it says, "The wicked," which represent the Edomites, and the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. Who's in power right now? Who's making signing executive orders and putting all these different things in effect, man? Hello, Trump. Trump is an Edomite, so-called whites. That's who's in power right now. They're making the decisions. They're writing those like it says in Isaiah the 10th chapter, those decrees, those unrighteous decrees. That's those executive orders, man. That's who it is. That's who it's talking about. So the wicked are estranged from the womb. They go astray as soon as they be born, speaking lies. There it is, man. They're liars from jump, man. Wah! The little ass is lying, man. Ain't nothing wrong with him. He just wants some attention. He lying. From the womb, they're liars, man. So that little devil is going to grow up to be a big devil. That's all. That's what's going on here, man. You know what I'm saying? So stop, man. So let's go back to John 8 and 44. Christians don't have a clue, man. They're lost in the sauce, man. So John 8:44, ye are of your father the devil. Yahweh Shah talking to those Israelites, trying to be like those Romans who were Edomites, proving that, hello, as a matter of fact, keep reading. And the lust of your father ye will do. He was a murderer from the beginning. So putting him in the beginning, proving the serpent, who that hatred was, had that hatred between them, were the Edomites, man. And abode not in the truth, because there is no truth in him. When he speaketh a lie, speaketh of his own, for he is a liar and the father of him. We just proved the scripture said that they as soon as they be born, they come out the womb lying, man. They're liars, bro. It is what it is. These are the words of the Lord. As a matter of fact, let's get one more. This is going into that. This is 1 John chapter 3. And we're going to drop down to verse 8. And it reads, he that committed sin is of the devil. Why? Because he's the man of sin. It tells you that in 2 Thessalonians, man, the 2nd chapter. He that committed sin is of the devil, for the devil sinneth from the beginning. Boom, there it is again, the devil. He called them Roman centurions devils, from the beginning. Okay, if he's talking about the so-called white man during the time of the Romans, and he says from the beginning, that means they had to be there too. So who were they? The serpent, that sly, treacherous person, and the devil beguiled Eve, man. That's what they do, bro. And that's who it's talking about. He that committed sin is of the devil, for the devil sinneth from the beginning. For this purpose, the Son of the Most High was manifested, that he might destroy the works of the devil. Going into Yahweh Shai, whosoever is born of the Most High doth not commit sin, for his seed remaineth in him, and he cannot sin because he is born of the Most High, going into his elect. You know what I'm saying? And in these times, it says, ultimately, Yahweh Shai, it says, in this, the children of the Most High are manifest, and the children of the devil, which is the Israelites, beginning starting with the elect, and the Edomites, of course, the Israelites are the children of the Most High, beginning starting with the elect, and the children of the devil, which is the Esau, the serpent back in the garden. Whosoever doeth not righteousness is not of the Most High, neither he that loveth not his brother, which, boom, goes all the way back to the beginning again with Cain, which let's go to Genesis, the 4th chapter, because the same spirit, Cain and Abel, were those same spirits, Jacob and Esau. You know what I'm saying? Cain, Esau, Jacob, Abel, man, Abel/Seth. So this is Genesis 4. I'm just gonna have to start at the top and just read down a few verses to just get the backdrop of this whole thing. Cain and Abel at the top right there. Genesis 4:1, and Adam knew Eve, his wife, and she conceived and bare Cain, and said, I have gotten a man from the Lord. And she again bare his brother Abel. And Abel was a keeper of sheep, but Cain was a tiller of the ground. And in process of time, it came to pass that Cain bought of the fruit of the ground an offering unto the Lord. And Abel, he also bought of the firstlings of his flock and of the fat thereof. And the Lord had respect unto Abel and to his offering, because that's in the law, man. You know what I'm saying? The firsting of your flock, man, that goes to the Lord, man. And here Cain bought fruits and vegetables, man. You know what I'm saying? Come on, bro. And then he gonna get mad. It says, but unto Cain and to his offering he had no respect. Exactly. And Cain was which is Esau. You know what I'm saying? He has respect for the nation of Israel. He has no respect, beginning starting with the elect. He has no respect for the Edomites, man. But unto Cain and his offering he had no respect, and Cain was very wroth, and his countenance fell. And the Lord said unto Cain, why art thou wroth, and why is thy countenance fallen? If thou doest well, shalt thou not be accepted? And if thou doest not well, sin lieth at the door, which he's the man of sin. They're the people of sin, and unto thee shall be his desire, and thou shalt rule over him. And Cain talked with Abel his brother, and it came to pass when they were in the field that Cain rose up against Abel his brother and slew him. Why? Because he hated him, because of the very thing of the offerings, man. You know what I'm saying? His offering was not respected, Salakia, and Abel's was respected, accepted, and respected. So that made him wroth. He got mad, upset. He had hatred for his brother, and he killed him. That's what will make you kill your brother. Hatred. You know, come on, bro. So let's go back. Same thing. So it says, and so he rose up against his brother Abel and slew him. It says, and the Lord said unto Cain, where is Abel thy brother? And he said, I know not. Am I my brother's keeper? Which the answer is yes, man. You know, which he broke the brotherly covenant, which is the exact thing Esau did, man. You know, it says, and he said, what hast thou done? The voice of thy brother's blood crieth unto me from the ground. And now art thou cursed from the earth, which hath opened her mouth to receive thy brother's blood from thy hand. When thou tillest the ground, it shall not henceforth yield unto thee her strength. And that's happening to this very day. That's why you go to the store, you see the size of like grapes. You know, grapes used to be the size of watermelon, man. You know what I'm saying? It took like several men to carry one cluster of grapes, man. You know what I'm saying? That's how big they were. You know, but look at them now. It's tiny as hell. And you go buy fruit or something from the grocery store, and in a day or two, they're rotten, man. You know, because the earth is not yielding her strength. You know, so it says, a fugitive and a vagabond shalt thou be in the earth, and he is, man. This dude's been plundering and pillaging and robbing and stealing and killing and taking and possessing and becoming his entire existence, man. That's what he's been doing, bro. You know what I'm saying? What's that? Micah, the 2nd chapter goes into it. He covets fields, even a man his house and even his heritage, roughly paraphrasing. You know, Micah, the 2nd chapter goes into that. 2 and 2, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong. But I know it's in the Micah the 2nd chapter. But it says, so he's a fugitive and a vagabond, man. He owns nothing. He owns a little plot of land over in the east over there, and that's going to go to the tribe of Judah, man. He's nothing, bro. So it says, and Cain said unto the Lord, my punishment is greater than I can bear. Behold, thou hast driven me out this day from the face of the earth, and from thy face shall I be hid, and I shall be a fugitive and a vagabond in the earth. And it shall come to pass that everyone that findeth me shall slay me. So the Lord's going to put that covering of protection, that hedge of protection around it. And the Lord said unto him, therefore whosoever slayeth Cain, vengeance shall be taken on him sevenfold. And the Lord set a mark upon Cain, lest any finding him should kill him. And that mark is leprosy. You know, that translucent skin that the blood shows forth through, which is red, not white. You know, so, but he has that protection on him. That is to this very day, man, you know, because that mark is on him to this very day. You know what I'm saying? So they're the only nation of people born like it describes in Genesis, the 25th chapter. The first came out red all over like a hairy garment. You know what I'm saying? So they're still being born to this day like that, man. You know, they're the only nation born to this day like that. So, yeah, man, but that portrays, again, that perpetual hatred, you know, and, you know, again, that's why the Lord told Adam and Eve not to deal with this tree, which is talking about the Edomites, but they could eat of every other tree, which again means that, you know, they could deal with them. They could, you know, their philosophies and different things, but they don't take from these devils right here, from Esau, man, which those trees represent people. And let's just prove that real quick, because, you know, you got these again, these Christians don't know what's going on, man. You know, they have no clue as to what's going on. This is Mark 8:24, and it reads, and he looked up and said, I see men as trees walking. So trees representing people, you know. So that's that similitude or comparing men to trees, which is when you go back to the beginning in Genesis, you may eat of this tree. It's talking about people, men, you know. That's what it's talking about, man. And like I said, the serpent is not an actual snake. It's people as well, man. Those trees, you know. But getting back to that perpetual hatred, you know, which Esau has, you know, again, in the garden, from the beginning. Then when you go to, let's jump to Genesis, the 27th chapter, and get into the blessings, you know what I'm saying? that perpetual hatred went on over to Jacob and Esau, because the same spirits reincarnated into the earth, man. Jacob, Abel / Seth became Jacob, and Cain became Esau, man, through Isaac. And let's drop down. This is Genesis 27 and 41. And it reads, this is during the time of Jacob and Esau, Genesis 27 and 41. And Esau hated Jacob. Boom. Same hatred. The same hatred Cain had for Abel and made him slew him. Here it is again, through reincarnation into another incarnation. And Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing wherewith his father blessed him. And when you read up, it goes into that. Jacob supplanted Isaac, who was dimmed in the eyes. He was up in age. He couldn't see well. You know what I'm saying? So Rebekah, who favored Jacob, Isaac favored Esau, as his firstborn. He favored Esau. Rebekah favored Jacob. So she helped Jacob, got his raiment, some of Esau's raiment, got some goat hair, put it on him, so he smelled like Esau and looked like Esau. She cooked up some venison, how Isaac liked it, the way Jacob, the way Esau would fix it. And she sent Jacob in so Jacob could receive the blessing of his father that would have went to Esau. And then you got these Edomites that'll he supplanted him, so he stole the blessings from Esau. It was supposed to be ours. Wrong answer. Real quick, then we'll come back. Let's get that in Romans, the 9th chapter. And we're going to jump down to verse 11. As a matter of fact, I'll start at verse 9. This is Romans 9 and 9. For this is the word of promise. At this time will come, and Sarah shall have a son, which is Isaac. Abraham and Sarah had Isaac. Verse 10, and not only this, but when Rebekah, which after Isaac grew up, he met Rebekah. And they, of course, Rebekah was barren at first, so of course Isaac entreated to the Lord and prayed to him and asked him to allow her to conceive and get pregnant and have babies. So the Lord answered. It says, and not only this, verse 10, but when Rebekah also had conceived by one, which is Isaac, even by our father Isaac, there it is. Verse 11, here it is. For the children, they had 2 children, twins. Remember, she went to the Lord and because she thought, well, I was barren. So if the Lord did this and allowed me to have these children, everything is going to be wonderful. Everything is going to be beautiful. There's going to be but they were fighting, they were just going at it in her womb. So they were trying to kill each other in the womb. That's that hatred, man. It was in the womb. You know what I'm saying? So she was asking, Lord, if this is of you, why are my children thus? Why are they like this? Why are they fighting? Why are they trying to kill each other in my womb? And the Lord is going to answer. He answered her, 2 nations are in thy womb and 2 manner of people, 2 different manner. Esau was one manner of people and Jacob is another, man. And the Lord can do that. You know what I'm saying? So he chose the barren woman and everything you thought that would be all gravy. And this is what, came of it. 2 different nations with 2 different ways, 2 different looks. But it says, Romans 9:11, for the children, Jacob and Esau, being not yet born, so this is why they were in the womb. They weren't here yet. They hadn't did anything, neither having done any good or evil, that the purpose of the Most High, according to election, who he chose, might stand, not of works, but of him that calleth. So he chose Jacob. That's why Jacob ended up getting supplanting Isaac and getting the blessings and the kingdom. The Lord is the election. It's who the Lord chose. He chose Jacob. He chose the second born, not the first. And he can do that, man. So going back to, where were we at? Genesis. Let's go back to Genesis, the 27th chapter. We're going to jump down to 41, going back into that hatred. Genesis 27:41. And Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing wherewith his father blessed him. And Esau said in his heart, the days of mourning my father are at hand. Then will I slay my brother Jacob. See, Cain killed Abel. Same spirit's back, doing it again in another incarnation. The same thing, that same hatred. And he wanted to do it again. You know what I'm saying? As a matter of fact, real quick, it's Ecclesiastes, the 3rd chapter. And I'm going to read in the KJV, then I'm going to read in the NLT. This is Ecclesiastes 3:15. That which had been is now, and that which is to be hath already been. And the Most High required that which is past. But when you read that in the NLT, let's read in the NLT. This is Ecclesiastes 3:15 in the NLT, and it reads, what is happening now has happened before, and what will happen in the future has happened before, because the Most High God makes the same things happen over and over again. Exactly. So it's nothing new. That's why scripture say there's no new thing under the sun, man. In the I believe it's in the 1st chapter, Ecclesiastes 1:9. Well, in the NLT, it says history merely repeats itself. It has all been done before. Nothing under the sun is truly new. Exactly. That's that no new thing under the sun, which I'm going to switch it back real quick. Ecclesiastes 1:9. The thing that hath been, it is that which shall be, and that which is done is that which shall be done. And there is no new thing under the sun. There it is, man. So Jacob and Esau weren't new. They were Cain and Abel. On into the day. Nothing is new, man. We've all been here before and done things and the whole nine. So let's go back to Genesis, the 27th chapter. If you can receive that, man. It ain't for everybody. And verse 41, Genesis 27:41. And Esau hated Jacob because of the blessings wherewith his father blessed him. And Esau said in his heart, the days of mourning of my father are at hand. Then will I slay my brother Jacob. So that same hatred, man, perpetual. It started in the garden. And then that enmity between the woman's seed and the serpent seed, which is the Edomite seed. Same thing, man. All that is the same thing, stemmed into this time. And why is that? Why did he want it? Why did he feel that way? Well, Genesis 27:36, and he said, talking about Isaac, is not he rightly, Esau, Genesis 27:36, and he said, is he not rightly named Jacob? For he hath supplanted me these two times, because the first time was for the birthright, and then this time, boom, for the blessing. It says, and he said, is he not rightly named Jacob, which Jacob means to be Yaquab in the Hebrew, to supplant, man. And that's what Jacob does, man. Jacob's a smooth talker. He'll make things happen. He'll make something happen out of nothing. For he hath supplanted me these two times. He took away my birthright, and behold, now he hath taken away my blessing. And he said, hast thou not reserved a blessing for me? Now he's begging and crying. And Isaac answered and said unto Esau, behold, I have made him thy Lord, and all his brethren have I given to him for servants. And that's going to come about, and nothing you can do about it. And with corn and wine have I sustained him. And what shall I do now unto thee, my son? Which he's going to beg for a blessing, which he got that. He got a temporary blessing of the kingdom, the fatness of the earth and the dew from heaven, from above, which is the kingdom, man. You know what I'm saying? A temporary, which is rulership of the earth. You know what I'm saying? So that happened, and that perpetual hatred continued on into today. You know what I'm saying? Which, let's get that real quick in Ezekiel, and then we'll bring this lesson to a close. This is Ezekiel 35, and I'll start at verse 1 and read down a few verses. And it reads, Ezekiel 35:1, moreover, the word of Yahweh Shem Yahweh came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Mount Seir, and prophesy against it, and say unto it, Thus saith the Lord, power, O Mount Seir, I am against thee, and I will stretch out mine hand against thee, and I will make thee most desolate. Now, he's not talking to a mountain here. He's talking to the people that inhabited that mountainous range of Mount Seir, which is Petra today. So real quick, and then we'll come back. This is Genesis 36, and we'll drop down to verse 8, and it reads, Thus dwelt Esau in Mount Seir. Esau is Edom. So Esau, Edom, and Mount Seir are all synonymous. Esau dwelt in Mount Seir. He's not talking to the mountain. He's talking to Esau, who is Edom. So let's go back to Ezekiel 35 and verse 4. And it reads, I will lay thy cities waste, and thou shalt be desolate, and thou shalt know that I am the Lord, Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, because thou hast had a perpetual hatred, there it is, and hast shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword in the time of their calamity, in the time that their iniquity had an end, which is talking about now. So it proves it's the same people back doing the same things in these times, because we're at the end of ours now. Therefore, as I live, saith Yahweh Bashem Yahushua power, I will prepare thee to blood, and blood shall pursue thee. Since thou hast not hated blood, even blood shall pursue thee. So that blood that of all the so-called Native Americans, the so-called blacks, Latinos, all the tribes that's been getting put to death at the hand of these devils over all this period of time is going to come back on these devils. As a matter of fact, real quick, Deuteronomy 30 and verse 7. As a matter of fact, when you read in verse 1, it says, Deuteronomy 31, and it shall come to pass when all these things are come upon thee, the blessing and the curse. So the Lord set this thing up to go through both. Esau and Jacob and Esau, you're going to go through both of them, the blessings and the curse. And of course, right now we've been in the temporary blessing, which came first, and he's had the fatness of the earth and the dew from heaven. And he's been under the Deuteronomy 28, 1 through 14, man. Everything has worked for this devil. He's been, plenteous and everything worked, man. It was all good for the Edomites. That's why they're trying to continue that golden age no, man, the height of this place. It's already happened, man. It's done. It's over. So we had to go through both, man. You've had the blessing, and while you had the blessing, we had the curse. 15 through 68, So now everything is about to flip. You know what I'm saying? Trading places, like that movie with Eddie Murphy and Dan Aykroyd. It says, the blessing and the curse, which I have set before thee, and thou shalt call them to mind among all the nations, with the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushua thy power hath driven thee. So the blessing and the curse, it was set up that way. Verse 7, and the Lord thy power will put all these curses upon thine enemies and on them that hate thee, which persecuted thee. So now they're going into the curses, which boom, means we're automatically going into the blessings, man. Again, Deuteronomy 28, 1 through 14 are the blessings, and 15 through 68 are the curses. So everything is flipping now, So let's go back to Ezekiel 35 and verse 7. So that's why this is about to happen right here. Ezekiel 35 and 7. Thus will I make Mount Seir most desolate and cut off from it. Salaki, let's go to 6. Ezekiel 35 and 6. Therefore, as I live, said the Lord God, I will prepare thee unto blood, and blood shall pursue thee. Since thou hast not hated blood, even blood shall pursue thee. So these things are about to flip and turn on them, because blood has pursued the Israelites at the hand of these Edomites. Now everything is finna flip, and blood is going to pursue these Edomites at the hand of the Israelites, man. And he says, thus will I make Mount Seir most desolate, and cut off from it him that passeth out, and him that returneth. So the Lord is about to flip these things on Esau. As a matter of fact, let's get one more. What is that? Ezekiel? Is it Ezekiel? The 25th chapter, I believe. Yeah. This is Ezekiel 25 and verse 14. And I will lay my vengeance upon Edom by the hand of my people Israel, and they shall do in Edom according to mine anger and according to my fury, and they shall know my vengeance, said Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. So again, the Lord's going to use Jake to pursue Esau with blood, because Esau did the same thing to Jake. So all these things are everything is flipping. But again, you saw that perpetual hatred, man, from all the way to the garden with Cain and Abel, all the way to present day, to us now, man. He didn't, and when you read in Genesis the 27th chapter, he didn't get to kill his brother Abel, his brother Jacob during that time. So when did he fulfill that? In these times, but through the seed, which again we read that he was going to put enmity or hatred between the serpent seed and the woman's seed, which is Israel, which are the Edomites. So he fulfilled that during this time, and hey, left and right, Jacob getting put to death at the hand of an Edomite, man. You know what I'm saying? Hands up, hands down, handcuffed, hand behind your back, coming towards you, walking away from you, on the ground, hands up. It don't matter. They getting put to death in your apartment, chilling. They bust in and put you to death. You know, so when that's what the times we've been in. So they fulfilled that through the seed in these times, man. You know what I'm saying? So hey, it is what it is, bro. But now things are flipping. So you got Jake putting Esau to death now. You know, there was something down here in what was it at? A track meet. I'm trying to remember where it was. I can't remember exactly where it was, but somewhere down here in Texas, there was a track meet, and a Jake, so-called black, stabbed and killed a Edomite, man, so-called Edomite. They got into a little altercation, and he and I think it was they were twins, but one of the twins ended up getting put in the Edomite twins got put to death, man. You know what I'm saying? So these things are starting to flip, man. You're gonna have Jake putting Esau to death. You know what I'm saying? Because them curses are starting to fall upon Esau, and that blood is starting to pursue these Edomites, man. You know, and of course, you already know what it is in the kingdom, man. Yeah, it's over with. They through. You know what I'm saying? But it is what it is. But that perpetual, that hatred, E's hatred is showing towards Jake, man. You know, and so Jake, it's time to wake up, man. We already know only the elect is going to wake up and get this thing. But it is what it is, and that's the work of the Lord. That's the power of the Lord, it's the will of the Lord. And this thing is all about the will, purpose, and pleasure of the Lord. So with that, hopefully this was edifying to the elect. Hopefully it made sense. With that, giving all praises, honor, and glory due to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Waharakah Kodash, double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect, the house of David, the Bayath Shah Dawadah Shalom.